Team Trump confirming that the Republican frontrunner has hired a veteran Republican strategist to help in what promises to be a long delegate fight ahead of Cleveland. The campaign enlisting Paul Manafort, a man who helped President Gerald Ford manage his 1976 contested convention battle against Ronald Reagan. Joining me now to discuss it, Fox News contributor, former Republican presidential candidate, and author of the novel Duplicity, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, great to see you tonight. Love that.
Good to be with you.
All right, so let's talk about this and whether this signals growing seriousness by Mr. Trump when it comes to this other piece of the game, which is shoring up your delegates and their commitment to you.
Yeah, look, I think we have to remember this is the first time Donald Trump has ever run for anything, and he decided to run for president. So he's having to learn a lot of stuff on the job, in public, sometimes embarrassingly. They found out in Louisiana they weren't prepared. They really weren't ready to get involved in this one state at a time, delegate by delegate fight. They brought in a real pro. Paul Manafort is as good as there is in this business. He will immediately improve the Trump campaign's ability to fight this kind of grassroots campaign. And it's a good thing they have, because Cruz has put together a very professional, very solid campaign. And until Manafort came on, Trump just didn't have anybody of the same level of talent. So I think you'll now see the Trump people, within a few days, become dramatically better at winning the delegate fight.
It still doesn't make any sense to me. I understand how if there's no majority winner on the first ballot, then the delegates are free to do what they want. You know, forget you, Trump, right. Forget you, Cruz, I'm going to vote for who I want. I get that. But how can you win over a delegate who was sort of pledged to a different candidate before the delegate gets to cast the ballot on the first vote at the convention?
Well, let's say you pick somebody who's not actually for your candidate, and that person is willing to vote for the candidate in the first ballot. They're legally bound to by most state laws. But there's a platform fight, there's a rules committee fight, there are resolution fights, and on a lot of other things they may decide to vote not the way they're legally bound, because the legal binding is only for the candidate. So one of the reasons it's so important for Trump to win in the first ballot is he's going to have a number of delegates who are not reliable on a second or third ballot.
It's a free-for-all.
Legally it's a free-for-all. And he needs to win on round one.
Let's talk about the Trump campaign and the discipline, or lack thereof, that we've seen in recent days. You know, today we saw the candidate himself come out and attack Michelle Fields after his campaign manager was criminally charged. And, you know, there really wasn't any need for Donald Trump to insert himself in the middle of that fight, notwithstanding his loyalty to his campaign manager. He wasn't it wasn't his fight, but he did so, attacking Heidi Cruz last week, which also did not need to be done. He's attacked others, as you know, who he didn't need to do that. What do you make of the repeated attacks, in particular, against women by a campaign that is struggling with women?
Well, I think in particular, in the case of Mrs. Cruz, it was a total mistake. He shouldn't have done it. He was angry because the Cruz super PAC had attacked his wife, Melania. But he had a lot of easy answers to come back and just say, look, she's beautiful, she's a supermodel, she was on a professional shoot for a very classy magazine, she'd be a very attractive first lady, and get over it. Instead, he automatically attacked. And that's part I always recommend to people to read The Art of the Comeback, Trump's book about the 1990s, because part of what he learned was to always counterpunch. If you watch him, he always counterpunches. I actually draw a distinction in the Lewandowski case because he was going to be asked about it. And Trump's basic model is to stay on offense.
Why couldn't he just say, this is my guy, a criminal process is going to play out, a jury will have its say, I'm not firing anybody until that happens, and then we'll reassess. Okay. I mean, or he could say, what I saw on the tape didn't rise to me to a fireable offense. That's understandable. But the demolition campaign against her reputation is a different matter.
But notice the language you just used. Suddenly it goes from a misdemeanor to a criminal violation. It is a criminal.
He's been charged with a criminal violation.
That's right. So now we have, is Lewandowski a criminal? Okay.
Those are your words. I mean, that's what the police are saying, that he's been charged with a criminal misdemeanor.
That's right. Criminal misdemeanor by a Democrat local official in a county with a very long history of very partisan politics.
But you saw the tape and you heard the Washington Post reporter independent account of what happened. I mean, no one's saying that this is a major beating. It's just a simple battery. That's it.
Right. Okay. Simple battery, which has now been translated into, but a criminal offense. And you have never been in a scrum in a presidential campaign where people were shoved around, including, by the way, by the press.
Many times.
Including by the press.
Many times. She didn't want to file a federal case about a federal case over it, Mr. Speaker. She wanted an apology, and then they attacked her and said she was delusional and suggested she made the whole thing up and tried to question prior reporting and demanded to know why she wouldn't file a police report and only talked about it online. So what'd she do the next day? She went and filed a police report. That's how we got to this place. We got to leave it at that. It's great speaking with you. Thanks for being here.
Good talking to you.